the fact that they're going to like stretch the terms and use idiosyncratic concepts to try to make it all coherent is evidence that it's probably incoherent, right? And that's what you're doing here.
Do you not think that you're growing more wise insofar as you're acquiring knowledge of material things?
I would never say that. I wouldn't say that when I fucked the first girl, when I fucked my first girl, that I grew more wise. Like, no one would say that.
Yeah, because you think wisdom is like, being, what's the word? Being like, knowing how to act in certain situations and being aware of certain...
Wisdom can refer to propositional knowledge or the way that people relate their knowledge or reason about what they know. That's how the typical understanding is. Now, you're using the idiosyncratic definition of wisdom.
Yeah, wait, hold on. The second definition might work. You're saying how you relate your knowledge to what you know.
How you rate your propositional knowledge.
Oh, well, it's kind of unclear whether God even has propositional knowledge to begin with.
Well, Jesus must have propositional knowledge.
Not divine knowledge. I don't think the divine knowledge would be...
Does Jesus have propositional knowledge? Now?
As a human, he would have, yeah.
Okay, now it sounds like, as a God, no. That sounds like you have some kind of Nestorianism there.
Yeah, as in the divine knowledge wouldn't be propositional. At least I don't think it would be, at least.
Yeah, so the human nature has propositional knowledge. The divine nature doesn't. That, to me, is just Nestorianism.
No, the heresy of Nestorius was this idea that Jesus was two persons.
Yeah, so I know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's not...
It implies, if you're saying one thing has different knowledge than another thing, that implies two different centers or points of view. And that's just what persons are, points of view.
No, like, obviously Jesus had divine knowledge, and then he had acquired knowledge as well. And obviously the divine knowledge...
No. You're saying Jesus... What had the propositional knowledge? Jesus, the human nature, or the divine nature? There are three things there.
The person of Jesus Christ had both propositional and non-propositional knowledge.
Okay, so is Jesus God?
Yes.
Okay, so then it would imply that if Jesus is God and Jesus has propositional knowledge, God has propositional knowledge.
Yeah, I agree. You can use it in that sense, yeah.
Okay, so why are you saying God doesn't have doesn't have propositional knowledge?
Yeah, when we were talking about God, I was referring to the divine essence, like the divine essence.
Yeah, but is knowledge a property of persons or essences?
It would be in this context a property of essences.
Okay, so if you're saying an essence knows something, that's a person.
Because like I'm referring to
knowledge. So look. And it's funny, I'm glad you stipulated in this context, in the context where you're debating me and trying to overcome objections, right? It's a property of essences, right? But then when, in a Trinity debate, when we're talking about hypostatic properties, right? Then suddenly, like, things like mental states, right? And actions, right? Those are hypostatic properties, not properties of the natures, right? So I just think this is incredibly dishonest.
Yeah, no, the hypostatic properties, or at least when we reference them, those aren't to distinguish them in terms of point of view. At least that's not the...
What is a hypostasis?
A hypostasis is an underlying reality.
What is that?
It's just a substance, I suppose you can think of it that way.
Uh-oh. Well, you fucked yourself. How many substances is God?
It depends, because the Greeks use substances in two different ways.
So you're equivocating on substance?
No, there's two different ways in which we can use substance. So you can use substance to refer to the nature.
What does substance mean in the case of hypostasis then?
A property bearer.
Property bearer. How many property bearers does God have?
There are 3 property bearers.
All right. And so how are you understanding object or thing? A thing is not a property bearer, or an object is not a property bearer.
I would say that all property bearers are things, but not all things are property bearers.
If you can't say an object is a property bearer anymore, right? Because if you do that, then God has 3 objects, and out goes the Trinity. So then, what is an object? What is an object then?
Wait, hold on. Wait, I want to go back to what you said. Why can't I say that? Because remember.
Why can't you say what? Did you hear what I said? Because it was very straightforward.
You said if I said God is 3 objects, then there's no more Trinity. But the idea here is
that's not what I said. I said if you think that, you can't think that an object is a property bearer. You can't think that. Those are not synonymous phrases or terms.
Yeah, but wait, hold on a second. What I said is that there are three property bearers and they all share one essence. How
That's great, but that's not what I said. I said that you can't think that an object is a property bearer.
Why?
Because then, if there are three property bearers and an object and property bearer are synonymous, okay, then there would be three objects.
Yeah, no. That's just taking the divine essence to be a genus.
I don't get what I'm saying. It's a valid argument, right?
No. Because you're taking the divine essence to be like this universal. You're taking.
I never said anything about that. Look,
wait, hold on.
Look, listen. No. Is the notion of object and the notion of property bearer, are those synonymous terms? Yes or no?
You can use them that way, yeah.
In this context, in our discussion, without equivocating, don't equivocate on any terms, so we can be very clear about what we're saying. Without equivocation, without any ambiguousness of how the terms, is for this conversation, is object and property bearer synonymous?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, how many, is God one object or three?
Well, we have to be clear on what we mean. So like
we just stipulated what we meant.
Hold on a second, just look. God is one object as it pertains to essence.
I don't give a, right? I said hey, I didn't ask, do not equivocate. Do you know what equivocate means?
Yeah, I know what equivocation is, yeah.
Stop equivocating. Stop.
Nobody's equivocating here.
You just, look,
in order to equivocate, you need to change the meaning
for the purposes of the conversation. Okay, let's go back. Everyone listen. Okay.
Yeah.
You said that there were three property bearers in God, right?
Yeah, three property bearers. Yeah.
Okay, and then you said, for the purposes of our conversation, that property bearer and object are synonymous phrases.
Yeah, but the sense can still be different, as well as the referent.
Then they're not synonymous, you dumbass.
Wait, hold on a second. Yeah, what? Are you crazy?
Are you stupid?
Look, the sense can.
What do you think a sense is?
A sense
is a meaning of a term.
Yeah, and that can change while the.
Do you know what synonymy is?
Wait,
synonymy means the same meaning.
Hold on a second.
No,
look, when I say
why would I hold on when you're saying stupid
you're not
stuff?
Understanding the argument. Look, it's not stupid. So what I was saying was, when you say object, if you're taking that to be a property bearer, then yes, there are three persons, objects, property bearers in the Trinity.
There are three objects in God.
However, if you take object to be an existing thing,
when you equivocate, there's no problem.
If you take object to be an existing
if you equivocate,
thing,
there's no problem.
There's one essence.
I understand that if you equivocate, there's no problem.
What's the issue? What's the issue
with equivocating? You said you wouldn't.
No, that's not what I said. What's the issue with there being three objects or property bearers in the Trinity?
Because Trinitarians don't think that there's three objects. It's one thing, one object.
Wait, hold on a second. By object, you don't mean property bearer, certainly. You're unclear, stunlocked. What the hell?
I know. I think by object, I mean something that has properties.
Yeah, obviously, the Father has certain hypostatic properties. So does the Son. So does the Spirit. So there are three property bearers. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that's why I think they're three gods.
Yeah, no, but in order for them to be three gods, numerically distinct gods, you have to take the divine essence to be a universal, and then be in particular instances.
I don't believe in universals. I don't believe in universals.
Good. I don't think the universals are.
You asked me about my view. You made the mistake of asking on my view, what do I mean by object? It doesn't matter what I mean. It matters what you mean.
So look, the issue is that in order to count numerical distinctions, there has to be a category, and you have to see there are particular instances of the category, right? So like if I have the category of apples, I have 4 particular instances of my
What problem do you think you're trying to solve here?
Yeah, the problem of tritheism. You're saying there are 3 gods, right? But I'm saying you can't do this.
No, I didn't say that. I said there were 3 objects.
Yeah, I agree. And where are we going from here?
Trinitarians don't think that there are 3 objects.
We just passed this bridge. Yes, we do. If you look at the Fourth Lateran Council or the Chalcedonian Creed, yes, we certainly do.
Okay, so just to clarify, you think God has 3 objects?
As it pertains to persons, yeah.
No, period. God has 3 objects, period.
Yeah, if objects and persons...
Without qualification. Yeah. Okay, God has 3 objects. All right. I'm satisfied with that.
Okay. But yeah, once again, divinity isn't a universal. So we can't count distinctions the same way we would with universals, just no analogous. But do you have any other questions pertaining to the Trinity incarnation?
It's not like you solved any of the issues.
I just think you don't know what you're talking about. I see in your paper.
What did I say? What did I say? What did I say that indicated that I don't know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the first thing you said was that Trinitarians do not believe that there are 3 property bearers or 3 objects in that sense. But like for someone like
No.
Thomas Aquinas,
If you ask any Trinitarian, is God one object or three objects?
yeah, I agree. If you ask a layman,
What would they say?
they'll say, yeah, I agree. If you ask a layman, they'll say this. But once we clarify what we meant, hold a second. Once we clarify what we meant by object, meaning hypostasis or person, you then want to say the same thing. But
Okay,
like
just generally speaking, we'll test this. What do you mean by object generally?
Typically, when I mean object, I mean an existence.
Okay, how many existences is God?
There's one existence in God.
Okay, God is one object?
In the sense I just described now, yeah.
Okay, so then God is three objects when you equivocate on object, why would you equivocate on object?
You're not understanding what an equivocation is. An equivocation is when, in one premise of an argument, I use the word in one way, and another premise I use the word in a different way. That's what an equivocation is. What I'm doing right now is saying, in one sense of the word object.
You're thinking about premises. I'm going to correct you. You're thinking about the equivocation fallacy. I'm not accusing you of an equivocation fallacy. Okay, I'm accusing you of equivocating.
Yeah. So look, if all you're saying here is that in one sense,
do you see how you didn't know what you were talking about there?
No. I thought you were talking about equivocation fallacy. But
why would you think that? Why?
Yeah, because if all you're trying to tell me here, Danny, is that what I'm doing is changing the word and saying in one sense the word means this, and in another sense it means that. In one sense it's true, and in another sense it's false. That's just me clarifying my position. That's not.
No, that brings actually confusion, because when you equivocate in a conversation without being very explicit, and I have to get it from you, like pulling teeth, right? It creates confusion, and it makes people think you believe one thing and not the other. I have to literally draw it out of you that you're equivocating. Okay, so I'm going to ask you.
It was pretty clear.
Don't equivocate. Okay, I want you to use. Clear. Okay, no. It was like pulling teeth, right? Now, can you, for the rest of our conversation, use the terms consistently? And when you're not...
Presumably, if you're aware of the terms, then yeah, I'll use them consistently, yeah.
Okay, good. So let's start over, okay? When we're talking about person, you mean person is hypostasis, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you mean by object?
Sort of... primitive, I guess you could say.
In metaphysics, when you use the term object, what do you mean? I'm writing it down.
I don't really use the term object in metaphysics.
Okay, so are there objects?
Yeah, there probably does exist objects.
All right, so you do use the term. That was a metaphysical response, right? So you use the term, okay? So when you said there are objects, what did you mean?
There are things that exist. There are tangible things.
Existence, okay, great. So are we going to use that term consistently now?
Yeah. Do you have the definition written down?
Yeah, right here.
Perfect.
Now, what do you mean by an existent?
An existence?
An existent.
Oh, an existent, like a particular...
Is that what... I mean, I'm fine with either definition. I thought you were saying an object is something that exists, which is to say existent.
Yeah, but like you do see with me, like there's this sort of issue of trying to reduce these sorts of terms down. Like I suppose...
Look, to be fair, I'll be fair. That's fair in this question. It's not an easy question, but if you don't have a set definition for a definition of something that exists, that's fair. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I take existence to be sort of primitive.
Okay, it's a type of primitive. All right. So how do you know if something is one or two existence?
I can sort of explain it for an example. Like if I look at, say, like an apple. Or two apples. I know that there are two apples because there are two particular instances of one universal.
How do you know there are two?
There's a distinction usually.
Usually? When is it the case that there's a distinction but there's one apple?
Like maybe like the apple begins to rot or something. And like in that case there's a distinction, but I would still say it's the same apple by virtue of relative identity.
Wait, so I'm confused. You're saying, I'm with you on so far when you say that like there's one apple, there are two apples because, what did you say? They're distinct, right? And I'm asking, is there a case, okay, maybe I misunderstood you. I'm asking, is there a case where they're distinct but it's still one apple?
Yeah, like if the apple goes from being like, ripe to rotten, right? There's a distinction there, but I would still say it's the same apple.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So identity through time. So let's say that we're talking about one particular moment of time. Is there a case where there's a moment of time, okay, where you have an apple that's distinct from another apple, but there's one apple?
No,
Why not?
there are two instances of the apple there.
Why would there have to be two? Why is it that distinction is? I'm going to ask. It's an unfair question, to be honest, but I'll tell you my what I think about this. It's because they're distinct that they're two. Okay, if they share the same predicate, if A and B share the same predicate, and then they're distinct at a given particular moment, there necessarily are going to be two, not one, of that type of predicate. Right? That's actually in classical logic.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. And so now you think when you say Jesus is God and the Father is God, okay, that's a statement of identity?
Yeah, relative identity.
Oh, it's relative identity. Okay. What are the two sortals that you're relativizing? Or one that's
God and person.
Okay. Is God a mind?
That's sort of ambiguous there. Do you mean God the Father or the divine essence? What do you mean?
Oh, they're different. There are equivocations on God?
Like whenever we reference God, we might reference like, I don't know, God the Father, or we might reference the divine essence directly. I'm just asking if you...
Are you a monotheist?
Yeah, I'd say so.
You believe in how many gods then?
One divine existence.
Okay, is that one God, right?
Yeah.
Okay, is that one God a mind or not?
Yeah, there's one mind, one will, yeah.
Okay, so God is one mind, okay? Do persons can persons share a mind on your view?
Yeah, well, if you cash out the word persons in the way that the scholastics did, then yeah.
Okay, so on my view, I'll give you my view, and then you're going to have to give me an alternative view. My view is that A and B have the same mind. They're the same mind if and only if they share the same mental states.
I don't think God has mental states, so...
Okay, what do you mean by will?
A will is some sort of like volition. Like it's.
What do you mean by volition?
I take it to be sort of primitive as well. I can't really describe it to you, a desire or want, you know.
Okay, is a desire... What is a desire? Is a desire a mental state?
Yeah, but it's not like a separate mental state in God. Like the way we have mental states.
You just contradicted yourself. You contradicted yourself.
Just hold on, wait, let me explain.
Yeah, so he contradicted himself.
When I said that God doesn't have mental states, plural, I mean God doesn't have like a mental state of anger. Then there's a mental state of like happiness.
What is a mental state
of desire?
You understand that?
Hold on a second. But God does have knowledge, right, and stuff like that. So God has mental states. In that
does God have beliefs? Does God have beliefs?
I'd say so. Yeah.
Okay, so is a belief a mental state?
Yeah, but it's one unified mental state.
So look, this is why people these scholastic online people, right? I want to talk to my chat for a second.
Wait, just write this down. It's one unified mental state.
I'm muting you for a second because I'm going to talk to my chat. This is why I can't stand these like Thomistic, scholastic, online debate bros, because he told me flat out, right, that God has no mental states. But what he meant by that is God doesn't have a certain type of mental state, like emotional states. Really, when he was telling me that God has no mental state, he was just talking about his impassibility. Is that correct?
No, you're completely wrong. I don't know how you got that conclusion.
Okay, so when you were saying God has no mental states, were you talking about, you gave examples about the kind of mental states you didn't have.
No, that's not what I was doing. So like what happened?
You didn't give me examples? You didn't give me examples?
I gave you examples, but not for that purpose.
Those examples pertain to... Did those examples that you gave me, it pertain to passibility?
No. What
examples did you give me?
Yeah, I gave you examples of happiness, anger, etc.
Okay, are those examples relate to passibility?
No, not when I was using them, no.
What is Okay, is anger an emotion?
Yes. Do you want to get substance?
Is happiness an emotion?
Yes.
Okay. Does passibility have to do specifically with things like emotions?
Passibility means change, no?
No.
Okay, what do you mean by passibility in that?
You're thinking of immutability.
Okay, so what do you mean by impassibility?
So just go. You told me I didn't know what I was talking about. Now,
look, just what do you mean by impassibility?
Wait, no. You see, you played this game. You started this game with me about who doesn't know what's talking about. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, just clarify the terms.
Okay, you admit you don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you mean by impassibility.
Yeah, so you don't know what I'm talking about.
As it pertains to impassibility now.
Okay, impassibility has to do with that God basically has no emotion. He's not reactive to other things, insofar as that you can't have pain and emotions and those sorts of mental states that are sort of reactive.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Look, what I'm saying here is this.
I'm just teaching you what impassibility. Let me get a better definition.
Look, you said to me, hold on a second. You said to me, God has mental states. I said, no, God doesn't have mental states that are separate. He has one unified mental state. It's all one existence. And you said, oh, let me talk to the chat quickly about scholastics. No, obviously God has mental states.
Let's go over this again. Okay. You didn't know what impassibility is, right?
I didn't know how you were using it now.
I'm using it the way the scholastics used it.
Which is in reference to change and not reacting to creation.
Which is it to do with emotion and pain.
So not changing in certain contexts, yeah?
No. What's the difference between impassibility and immutability? Define immutability.
Immutability is being or having no passive potency. So it's not changing at all.
Not changing. So what's the distinction between impassibility and immutability?
I think impassibility is in a specific context of change.
You see, this is how I know you're a bullshitter.
Look, are you going to engage with the substance here? Like, you're going to get with the issue of, like, Trinitarianism and stuff like that?
Oh, no. You see, you decided to not engage with the substance when you said I didn't know what I was talking about.
You really don't.
Oh, really? Do you know what the difference is between impassibility and mutability?
The way I just defined them, yeah.
Okay, how did you do? Okay, what's the difference?
I said impassibility in reference to things that God cannot be related to creation. It's like the scholastics would say something like, there's no real relation between God and creatures. Whatever creatures do doesn't affect God. And
can you define? Okay, yeah, everyone can see your sophistry. Can you define the way that the scholastics?
What are you looking for?
Oh no, I'm looking for. You'll see. Don't worry. I'm just looking for something that might help this conversation. Can you define the way the scholastics understood impassibility without googling it?
Yeah, I think the way they understood impassibility is in reference to how, at least this is my understanding, God doesn't have a real relation.
No, I don't care about your understanding. I care about the scholastics.
Anyway, since God doesn't have a real relation with creatures, God is not affected by creatures. That's sort of how I understand impassibility.
Okay, I don't care about how you do, because you know what you're talking about, right? See? You know what you're talking about.
Yeah, presumably, yeah.
Okay, so tell me, do you know what the scholastics meant by impassibility?
This is from my memory, yeah, this is what they meant.
Do you know what, so let's see. Because I actually personally don't know. I think the scholastics are just a icon of, I guess a historical icon of some history philosophy course. Let's see if this even defines impassibility. And give me a second.
You can just go on New Advent. If you go on New Advent and search up impassibility, they'll tell you.
I've heard of that site and I've been on it before. Can you tell me more about who comes up? Is it like a particular group or person who comes up with that?
I'm not sure particularly, but I just know that they give citations for their definitions.
Okay, I'm almost there. Give me a second. I don't even know if this dictionary has it. I don't. This one does not have it. Okay, but it does define immutable. Did you say earlier that impassibility means does not change?
In a specific context, yeah.
Okay, in the context of the scholastics, right? Did you say it? Okay, do you use the scholastic understanding of impassibility and consistently throughout the conversation, or do you use your own proprietary definition of impassibility?
I think I used the scholastic definition.
Okay, so, and I have the definition of immutable here. Unchanging and unchangeable. Okay? Now, do the scholastics use immutable, impassible synonymously?
No, I think.
So then you fucked up.
No, I think impassible was unchangeable in a certain context.
That's not what it says here. Look, here's for everyone, because there's no convincing him. He's hopeless. The point is that he defined impassibility in terms of cannot change, unchangeable. That is the definition from the Dictionary of Scholastic Philosophy, that the definition of mutable here is unchanging and unchangeable, which means that if he's trying to depict the scholastics, then the scholastics would be using immutability and impassibility synonymously, but obviously they do not. Okay?
Do you
So you don't know what you're talking about.
Do you think immutability entails impassibility?
Yes.
Yeah, do you know why?
Because if God doesn't, the idea is that emotions like pain, suffering, anger are a response or evaluative, right? There's an explanatory relation, right? So, but they're not synonyms.
So
They're
when
not synonyms.
So when I said God does not have a real relation of creatures, and so nothing creatures do affects God, and you said, let me get the dictionary out, how is this me confusing the terms? All impassibility means is to not change in a specific context, which is not change in response to humans or human action.
No, that's not how you initially defined it.
I just said, wait, by impassibility you mean unchangeable, right? Because
Yes.
when you were talking about it, you said about mental states, you said you agree that God is impassible. So I thought you were talking about mental states and God changing.
No, I'm pointing out you don't know what you're talking about, right? Because look, you defined impassibility the exact same way immutability is defined by the scholastics. But the scholastics, for a fact, do not use impassibility and immutability interchangeably, which means you fucked up and you won't admit it because you're a dishonest fuck.
Yeah.
Did you make a mistake?
I could have been clearer, yeah.
You made a mistake.
I could have been clearer, but
And was that mistake? No, I didn't ask. People may not be making a mistake insofar as misleading people or giving misinformation. They've just not been clear. Maybe they spoke in the wrong language, right? Right? That's not what you were doing. I'm asking, did you say anything that would misinform my viewership?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And was that because you didn't know exactly how to define impassibility and immutability the way that the scholastics do? Is that because of that?
No.
Oh, you knew exactly how to define it, but you misinformed them anyway.
No. The way I said it was unclear. That's why I clarified afterwards.
No. We distinguish making a mistake and being unclear. Right? When I say, okay, you didn't make a mistake, okay? Did you at some point define impassibility as unchangeable? Yes or no?
I wasn't giving a rigid definition, so I wouldn't say I defined it that way.
Okay. Did the sounds out of your mouth, did these sounds come out of your mouth? Impassibility, when I asked you to define impassibility, did you say unchangeable or cannot be changed, period? Did you say that?
I said that sentence and I followed up, yeah.
Okay, so you period, right? Now, after I pressed you, right, you followed up, okay? So now what you said, if someone was trying to learn from you, would they come up with a false belief or a true belief?
If they heard the first sentence and didn't listen, then a false belief, yeah.
Okay, so why don't you define impassibility again?
Impassibility is just meaning that God has no real relation to creatures. Nothing creatures do affects God. And in that sense, God cannot change or be affected by anything external to him. And then immutability is a stronger form of impassibility, insofar as God cannot be affected externally and God does not change.
Oh, did I disconnect? What happened there? Guys? Oh, we must have done a call. So annoying. I'm waiting for him to... Turkish. I mean, it's mind-blowing, Turkish. They will not admit responsibility when they make mistakes, right? Because here's what happens. They don't know, they make a mistake because this is all very technical and precise language, right? Because they might be ignorant of one thing. And rather than owning up to it, they would rather just double down and say that nothing went wrong, that they did everything correctly. And he wants to cash it out in terms of, oh, I wasn't speaking clearly. That's just cope, right? That's a euphemism at best. And everywhere I'm seeing The definition of impassibility has to do specifically with things like emotions, specifically mental states, our passions. Oh, he's gone.